Good late evening, everybody. I'm Scott Allison. This is Beyond 280. Today we're going a little bit to the right. That's the right over on your world. And sorry I'm running so late today. I normally stream at 4 o'clock. Today I am at 10 p.m. because life happens. Sometimes things just happen. And today things just happened and we had, I had to run around and carry kids here and there, and it just is what it is. But I wanted to stream today because there's several topics I wanted to talk about today. Specifically, well, we'll get into it in just a minute. But thanks again for coming. My name again is Scott Allison. This is Beyond 280. And this is where we talk about Twitter, in a sense. So I have 3 streams. I do Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, typically at 4 o'clock. Today, not so much, where I expose the people behind the Twitter accounts that you love to follow, specifically just to learn who they are as human beings, so that we're not all just throwing threats and hatred and divisiveness and vitriol and all of that fun stuff that we love to do on Twitter. I want to show the world that these are human beings and that we need to show them a little empathy and a little respect, regardless of where they fall on the political spectrum or their gender identity or any of that. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we're all human beings. Excuse me. So that's my Wednesday shows where I do actual interviews. And then my Monday shows where I kind of show my worldview in the Twitterverse. So I pick some topics that are kind of trending in the Twitterverse, and I go after those, and we kind of dive into those. And then on Friday, it's kind of like an anything goes day. But again, thanks again for coming. For those of y'all who can barely read this, and it may be covered up on YouTube, I need to fix it. But I'm considered an ambassador for the Creators Guild. And if you don't know what the Creators Guild is, it is a great organization it's a great guild of creators that get together. We learn about creating. We help each other out. We toss the ideas around to each other. We talk about the tech, even though Dr. Elo says F the tech. And we also have gone through the Creator Toolkit there that is provided to us by the impartial geek, David Foster, and kind of helps people who are just getting started or maybe just need to brush up on their content creation skills. That's where we hang out. So come and check us out. It's free. All of that is free. And yeah. So today is, again, I'm getting a late start, and we got a couple of people in here who want to say hi. I've got Mr. Midwest Merchandiser. And then we've also got Alex McDonald from the Politics Show. What's up, Alex? And I think we got a couple other lurkers, but neither here nor there. We can get started. So today was, well, the past week has been kind of an up and down news cycle. I think I've been watching things closely, trying to come up with some topics to talk about, and thank goodness for Joe Biden. Seriously, thank you, Joe Biden, for giving me something to talk about today. We got Nail Bender in here too. Hey, Nail. Thank goodness for Joe Biden. Without, as Alex likes to say, the former vice president, I wouldn't have a whole lot to talk about today. But as it stands, he came out today and he had a press conference, so we'll just talk about it. Let me just. Oops, that's the wrong button. So let's just talk about that. Oh, and my Twitter screen is gone. Hey, live, everybody, live. We're going to fix that real quick. And then while that's fixing, I will come back to it. There we go. All right, here we are. We're back to the Twitterverse here. So today, Joe Biden had a press conference, and the basic gist of it was, well, as if you know, last week we had abysmal job numbers come out. Something like 200,000 new jobs created. Basically, no growth. In fact, if anything, we're shrinking again. We're starting to see inflation issues. We're starting to see supply issues, price issues, just all over the map. And this is his way of trying to get out in front of it and say, it's not my fault. I had nothing to do with it. So it's real telling what he's actually saying here, because so C-SPAN, good for them. They actually kind of highlight the part that I really, really wanted to talk about. So he, in his speech, he basically, said, hey, it's not my fault that the economy's, not doing all that great. In fact, the jobs numbers are really not that bad, and we've created X number of jobs this year and blah, 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 blah. It's all horse cocky. Granted, all presidents, they do the same thing. They tout things that really aren't there, and they push aside things that really are their fault. So regardless, Joe Biden, though, on the other hand, he comes out and he says, we're going to make it clear that anyone collecting unemployment who is offered a suitable job must make the job or lose their unemployment benefits. Must take the job. So, Nail. No, I don't want to go for a ride in your helicopter. Thank you. I won't return. So he comes out, and the reason why he's saying this is because, by and large, people on the right are coming out and saying unemployment is basically paying people to stay home. And in many cases, they're right. They're absolutely right. Unemployment is supposed to be a temporary thing. We all know this, right? The left even knows this. And again, I will distinguish between a liberal and a leftist. The left knows this. They know this very well. Yet, it seems to be in this gravy train. So that's kind of the issue I have here, because in the same speech, Joe Biden says there's been a lot of discussion since the Friday report that people are paid to stay home rather than go to work. We don't see much evidence of that, he says. But almost in the same breath, he comes out and he makes a statement that anybody collecting unemployment who's offered a suitable job must take that job or lose their unemployment benefits. So which is it? Is there really a problem that needs fixing or not? So according to Joe Biden, there's no problem that needs fixing, but here's a solution for a problem that doesn't need fixing. So who's the liar? It's clearly Joe Biden. Am I right? Yeah, and Alex says, hey, when unemployment is paying $17.50 an hour, people aren't looking for jobs. This is just rational, so the highest number of unemployed people are going to be your service jobs, your low skilled jobs, right? Those are the people that are not making $17.50 an hour on their regular jobs. It's just not happening. So so he's coming out and basically saying, well, we're going to, if when you're collecting unemployment and you get a suitable offer, you got to take that or you're going to lose your unemployment benefits. Okay. Sounds reasonable, except for one thing. What's that one word mean? What does that one word mean there? Suitable job. What does that mean? He doesn't say. Of course he doesn't say. Why would he say that? Why would he define that? Because that would mean there would be a definitive line in the sand where we would have to go, okay, well, you can't have unemployment anymore. He doesn't want to do that. There's no way he wants to do that. He wants to say suitable. It's in the eye of the beholder. So, like Alex says, $17.50 an hour. If it's not more than $17.50 an hour, is it really suitable? I don't think so. What this really is Joe Biden finding a way in, right? Finding a way in to raising the minimum wage. That's exactly what he's trying to do here, or what his advisors are telling him to do. Because Biden doesn't have the brains to come up with this stuff on his own. It's actually a really good strategy, right? You just keep forking over unemployment. You piss the right off, you piss the conservatives off, you piss the Republicans off, and then you go, nobody's taking jobs over $17.50. We should make the minimum wage $17.50, or make it $50. Let's compromise. Let's compromise and make it $15 an hour. Yeah, that's how this is going to go. That's exactly how this is going to go. Oh, yeah, and Alex even says it's a setup for universal basic income. Yeah, it's a stepping stone, right? Because that's what minimum wage is a stepping stone toward. And so this is basically just a stepping stone towards that. He knows damn well that people are staying home because they're not going to get over $17.50 an hour, or even $17.50 an hour on a regular paying job. He knows this. The federal government knows this, but yet it is what it is. So, yeah, so I just had to talk about that because I can see how anybody can't see through this bullshit is unbelievable to me. It really is. It's completely. It's so. It's the emperor has no clothes. The emperor has no clothes. It is just laid out bare for all to see. We know exactly what is going on here. We see it. We can see it in his stumbling words. And I can't play the video right now because I'm having audio routing technical issues. But when I get that part figured out, the next time I'll play the video. But the video, you should hear him talk. You should hear him talk. He didn't say we're going to make it clear that anyone collecting unemployment, blah, blah, blah. He said we're going to make it clear that anyone collecting unemployment who is offered a suitable job must take the job or lose the unemployment benefits. That's my best impression of Joe Biden because I can't do that raspy, senile voice at all. So that's Joe Biden in a nutshell. And that's where we are, people. That's where we are. This is the guy we elected. And I say we because we are all Americans, and even the people that voted for him are still Americans. So we are collectively responsible for Joe Biden. Yeah. So again, my favorite part of all this is just that on the one hand, he's saying there's no problem. We don't see any evidence of people staying home because we're paying them to stay home. And then he, very next breath basically says, oh, but here's a solution for that thing that I said wasn't broken. That's really my favorite part. So another story that I wanted to just kind of briefly touch on, and, I wanted to touch on this because I find it fascinating. And actually, I find it more than fascinating that this story hasn't really gotten any traction. And I've looked for traction on this story, but I can't seem to find any. So let's look at it real quick. The Blaze reported this, that there's a black school choice movement that explicitly rejects cultural movement that U.S. is racist. Now, this should be news. This should be pretty interesting news, in fact. Yeah, he needs to go. So, real quick, Nailbender, he just needs to go back to the nursing home Hillary and Nancy drug him out of. Yep. The key to being offered a job is actually looking for a job. Bingo. So, I wanted to talk about this particular story here with the Blaze. So, the headline is Black School Choice Movements Explicitly Rejects Cultural Movement That the U.S. is Racist. So I think this is a pretty big deal. In fact, I had a conversation, and I saw some videos the other day around this about how people are waking up to the whole woke thing, right? I really think we're at that breaking point where things are going to start turning around when it comes to the whole woke movement. But listen to this story. This is just fascinating. And it's fascinating for a couple of reasons, and I'll tell you why. But first of all, here's the story from the Blaze. A Minnesota black school choice movement has blasted the notion of the United States as being racist wholly false. So they're basically saying this is a bunch of hoo-ha, right? The movement, Take Charge Minnesota, that's the name of the organization, is a school choice movement founded in the black community and vows to tackle the idea of systemic racism. The notion of systemic racism, the organization states, is structured to undermine the lives of black Americans. This is so true. This is the part they don't talk about in critical race theory or the 1619 Project, that all of this is really designed to undermine the black community, well, the people of color in general. According to the organization's website, Kendall Qualls, a former U.S. Army officer and outspoken Republican, is leading the movement, which intends to counter that narrative and aims to inspire and educate the black community and other minority groups in the Twin Cities to take charge of their own lives. What a concept. My mind is blown. I mean, what a concept, right? Take personal responsibility for your own lives. Take charge of your own lives. We acknowledge that racist people exist in the country, but explicitly reject the notion that the United States of America is a racist country. The organization's website states, this is a subtle but significant difference. We also denounce the idea that the country is guilty of systemic racism, white privilege, and abhor the concept of identity politics and the promotion of victimhood in minority communities. So the group's mission is to inspire and educate black and other minorities communities of their full rights and privileges as Americans, greatness to them. As Americans, greatness to them by the or I think it's supposed to be granted to them by the Constitution. So what this group is basically doing is saying, you're not a victim. You are not being squashed. There is no systemic racism. Yes. And that's the thing. They point out racism exists. Systemic racism, not so much. They go on to say, the group also insists that the way to do this is through quality education, which the group calls the gateway to prosperity. We desire to inspire them to take charge of their own lives, the lives of their children, and not to rely on government and politicians for redemption and prosperity. We do not apologize for embracing America or its history. We believe that a well-grounded knowledge of American and world history strengthens our diverse country. What's wrong with this? There's nothing wrong with this, except for a couple of things, and we'll get to that. Qualls ran against incumbent Democrat Representative Dean Phillips in Minnesota's 3rd District in November, but lost. He founded Take Charge in Minnesota 2 months later. So, granted, I think Qualls is probably doing this for 2 reasons, right? One, he's a politician. But 2, I think his heart is in the right place. Qualls and the organization made new headlines over the weekend after an ad for the group appeared in the Star Tribune. Now, here's the interesting part. This organization has not made any waves anywhere outside of the Twin Cities area. I looked. There's literally nothing, especially in the national Twitter sphere. There's nothing out there about this organization. But that being said, they placed an ad on Mother's Day that said, "For many of you, it is a happy Mother's Day. But for us, it is not, because our children are being held in bondage. It is the bondage in Minneapolis' public schools that for 5 consecutive years rank at the bottom of the country in test scores and graduation rates for students of color. Black children from Mississippi rank higher than Minnesota. We want a Mother's Day gift of freedom, freedom of choice, freedom as mothers, grandmothers, sisters, aunts to choose the right school for the children in our families. Help us start a new life for them by supporting school choice." So apparently they got blasted for this. So this is all great. This is all wonderful, and I was really happy that I saw this story. I was like, man, this is awesome. I'm going to go down this rabbit hole. I'm going to go read all these comments about all these people coming out and saying, "Wow, what a great idea, man! This is awesome that this organization that is trying to help Black people and Black communities and minority people and minority communities is going out there and really going out there and just kind of fighting against the man, saying wokeism is bad. The U.S. is not a racist country. You need to center your life. You need to grab hold of the reins and take charge." Except none of that really happened. So what you'll see here, if you look at the statistics for this has only been retweeted 21 times, right? It's only been liked 79 times since 4 o'clock this afternoon. So that's been 6 hours. I would think something like this would would catch fire. It doesn't. So let's look at some of the replies. So some of the replies are, Morgan Freeman saying that we should stop talking about racism. Let's see. I'm not sure what this is about. Demand game wardens to demilitarize and make reparation for human, civil, and religious rights. So Reverend Frow's going crazy on the blaze here. And they aren't falling for the Democrats' shit this time. There's no other comments. There's literally 3 comments. Now, I don't know if that's a product of maybe the blaze is starting to tank, but I didn't find anything else on Twitter really about this story. So if we do, in fact, let's go over there and we'll search this. We'll search for "Take Charge Minnesota." And we'll look at the latest tweets. Okay, so there's a group called All Sides. It's got 1 like. Something called Space Reporter News, 11 hours ago, and there's no activity on this tweet. Travel with Wayne Morin, Biden family. No, this is an old story. This is about the. So this is Kendall Qualls coming out against Biden's remark about us the U.S. being a racist country. But beyond that, that's it. There were basically 2 stories I could find on Twitter about this. This is hurting my brain. Why? Why aren't we shouting from the rooftops? Look, there are people out there that want to defy wokeness. They want to stand up against this wrong-headed belief that we are, in the United States, a racist country, that there's systemic racism everywhere. I thought I was going to be excited about this, and I'm not. I'm so brokenhearted that this story just did not take off. Alex says, "This does highlight the flaw in school funding, though. I don't think we should pay for public schools, period. But as we do, doing it with district property taxes will always create winners and losers." Right. So I'm with you on that. It's really bad here in Texas, specifically the bigger, the more well-funded districts. Higher property values, more well-funded. Yeah, so that's why they have what they call the Robin Hood plan, where if a neighboring district wasn't performing as well, then they could siphon the money off of other districts. Actually, I don't even know what happened with that plan, if it's still even in effect. But yeah, that is a problem. But really, school choice should really be driving all of that. Because without school choice, then you stuck in a crappy district, or you stuck in a crappy school. And that needs to change. That needs to change not just in Minnesota. It needs to change everywhere. In fact, I don't know a single person of color who even believes that that's a bad idea, to be quite honest. So yeah. So I'm hurting, heartbroken that this story didn't catch fire. And maybe by this time tomorrow that'll be different. Maybe somebody will pick up on it and go, hey, look, there's this group in Minnesota that is, standing up to this woke crap, right? So all of that is to really get to my main topic for this evening. I'm kind of excited about this, actually. So I told you it's kind of an up and down news cycle this past week. And I've been, struggling, and I do mean struggling, to find a good story, right? A good story to kind of talk about, and, something that I kind of was passionate about even, and I was having trouble. I kid you not. I was having lots of trouble finding something because it's just kind of a weird news cycle right now. But thank you, NBC. Thank you, NBC. I didn't even know this was a thing until today. But NBC came out and basically canceled the Golden Globes. So Axios in their story says, breaking it, NBC said it won't air the Golden Globes next year over criticism that the Hollywood Foreign Press Association is not sufficiently committed to diversity. Interesting. So this is a classic case. Get a little bit of water. This is a classic case of the left eating their own. You ever see that archetype of the snake eating its own tail? That's what this reminds me of, right? So, by all accounts, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association is an extremely diverse organization. In fact, what prompted all of this in the first place was an expose, if you will, in the Los Angeles Times, dating back to, what was the date on this? February 21st of this year. And the headline reads, "Who really gives out the Golden Globes? A tiny group of quirky characters and no black members." Bum, bum, bum. That's the problem right there. There's no black members. Well, not about diversity, because let's list out some of these people. While many members keep a low profile, others are more colorful. Members' names and bios are not listed on the HFPA's website, but according to documents reviewed by the Times, among those in the group are Chinese-born actress Lisa Liu, who played the grandmother in the 2018 hit film Crazy Rich Asians; former beauty queen Margaret Gardiner, who in 1978 became the first South African ever to win the Miss Universe title; and Indian-born Noel D'Souza, who alongside his journalism work played Mahatma Gandhi in an episode of Star Trek Voyager, among other small film and TV roles. One member, Yola, I can't pronounce her name, Sudurska Hayek, is a wealthy socialite whose fondness for fur coats and jewels has drawn comparisons to Joan Collins, who refers to herself on her Facebook page as the first Polish lady of Hollywood. Oh, we also have a Russian bodybuilder named Alexander Nevsky. He's also on the board there, who choose these. And then geography is kind of a fluid concept according to this article, with members representing a somewhat shifting map of territories rather than simply countries of origin. So we got members who are in India, Singapore, the Netherlands, Australia, and Cuba. The association includes 3 Americans, yeah. So there we go. So that kind of gives you just kind of a breakdown. I didn't list all the members, but it sounds like a pretty diverse group. But then the article turns dark or light. While the HFPA's ranks include a number of people of color, there are no black members. A fact a representative says the group is aware of and is committed to addressing. That's beautiful. So the organization drew widespread criticism for this year's slate of nominations, which did not include any of this year's black-led potential Oscar Best Picture contenders, including Da 5 Bloods, Judas and the Black Messiah, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, among its finalists for the group's top film prize. So, what this is really about, aside from this one little faux pas of not having a single black, having lots of people of color and women, probably different sexualities as well and genders, they don't have a black person on their board. So that's a big no-no, apparently. Then the other big no-no was, how dare you not nominate a black-led film? How dare you? That is a cardinal sin in Hollywood. Don't you know this? Golden Globes, hey, HFPA, don't you know that's a cardinal sin? How dare you? I mean, even if there are other films that are more worthy, I mean, you've got to put at least one in there, but you better, in order to be safe, you got to put at least three, right? I think that's probably the number now. I mean, I think it used to be you had to just do one. I think those were the unwritten rules. I'm not really sure now what those unwritten rules are. Yeah, so NBC said Monday, today, that it won't air the Golden Globes next year following the fallout around the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, which puts on the show each year and is battling criticism that it is not committed enough to diversity. The network has been airing the event exclusively for decades. Its decision to pull back speaks to how big the backlash against the group has become. I'm just giddy about this. This just cracks me up. It really does crack me up. So leaders at Amazon, Netflix, and Warner Media have put out statements saying they refuse to work with the group until new reforms are enacted. What reforms exactly are they going to enact? We have to have a token black person on the board. Does that sound about right? Because that's about that is the softest kind of racism in the world. Is that sort of mentality? We've got to have a black person for the sake of having a black person. That's not diversity, people. That's not diversity. Stars, including Scarlett Johansson and Mark Ruffalo. Breaks my heart that these are MCU people. These, I love Marvel, but Scarlett Johansson and Mark Ruffalo break my heart. They have also joined calls against the group. Earlier in the day, this isn't here. May have been a week or two ago. Tom Cruise actually returned his 3 Golden Globes. Oh my, that's so brave. Tom Cruise is so brave, guys. Tom Cruise is brave. So Scarlett Johansson has joined the outcry against the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, adding her voice to Avenger Mark Ruffalo, who spoke out on Friday. They unite with numerous publicist studios and media organizations in condemning the HFPA's lackluster diversity and inclusion initiative. In the past, she has faced sexist questions and remarks by certain HFPA members that bordered on sexual harassment. Should have turned them in. Why didn't you turn them in? Like Weinstein. This is the Me Too era. Should have turned them in. This is too funny. This is just cracking me up. So when was this, Scarlett Johansson? And this was on Friday. Oh my goodness. So the other part that I find really fascinating about this is, well, it's this. Let me pick this up real quick and show you real quick. This is just fascinating. So the other day I was watching a video on YouTube, and I can't remember the person who it was, but he's a big comic book guy. He loves comic books. He loves the MCU, the DCEU, all those movies, and he kind of went on a rant about Falcon and Winter Soldier and just talked about the future of the MCU, and how all this wokeism is sapping the fun out of these movies and these shows. And while personally I enjoyed Falcon and Winter Soldier, it got a little preachy in spots. In fact, there was an entire monologue at the end of the series that was all preachy, and it was a turnoff. It took away from the overall escapism of what Marvel is supposed to be. It's supposed to be about escapism. So he actually highlights multiple instances where actors and Kevin Feige himself have come out and said, this is a platform for changing people's mind about how they perceive themselves and the world around them. No, no, it's not. These are comic book movies. These are movies that are supposed to entertain us and get us out of that. We don't want to, we want to escape all that. That's why we love the movies. For the most part. You didn't go see Star Wars to learn about why, you should treat women better. You didn't go see Indiana Jones to go, learn about the plight of the African, shit beetle or something. I don't know. You just didn't. And then Pandora came along, or Avatar, and started preaching the crap out of us. And all these other movies started following suit. Next thing you know, it's creeping into the things that we really love, like Marvel movies and DC movies and that sort of thing. And well, anyways, this guy, he was looking at kind of the upcoming slate of Marvel movies, and he was like, these are going to be bad, but as far as preachiness, but there's hope. So Marvel released a trailer the other day that was really kind of like a montage of a bunch of their movies, including some of the existing movies that are going to be coming up. And the theme was about escapism. You come to us to escape, and da da da, and fantasy, and the spectacle, and all that. It wasn't anything about wokeism. But he pointed out that the newly titled The Marvels, or The Marvels, however you want to pronounce that, is really Captain Marvel 2. And it's really a direct result of people not liking woke Brie Larson, woke Marvel movies. And I think Marvel gets it. I think, well, at least this guy seems to think so as well. And that after we suffer through a few more of these woke movies, because they're already in the pipeline, already canned, ready to go, that we're going to start seeing the ship turn. He calls it not the MCU, the MCU. So anyways, it's gonna happen. And I think the same thing is happening here with the Golden Globes being canceled. And, let me just kind of show you what I mean by that. So this is a chart showing, and you can't, for some reason my screen sharing is off, but let's see if I can get this to show up all on the screen. I can't. Oh, yeah, I can. There we go. So this shows the viewership, the Nielsen ratings of the major award shows, the Academy Awards, the Grammys, the Golden Globes, and the Primetime Emmys. Now, the Primetime Emmys have always been a low, that one's whatever. No one cared about the Primetime Emmys. But the other ones, the Academy Awards, which is the granddaddy, the Grammys, which is a big deal, and the Golden Globes, look what they've been doing for the past 3 years. Tanking. And why do you think they're tanking? Because Americans are sick and tired, and I don't mean on the right. I mean, the entire country, even people on the left, people even I know that are liberals, are sick and tired of being preached at by people who think they know better, who think they're experts, who think they've got their fingers on the pulse of America. These are the people that wouldn't spit on you if you were on fire. These are the people that literally fly over to get from New York to LA and back again, and just kind of look it down in disdain at all the hillbillies underneath them. That's what these people do. They get up on their pedestals and they shout from there. And that's what these award shows have been. Nothing but wokeism for the past, well, long time. But really in the past 4, 6, 8 years, been really, really bad. And people have lost their taste for it. The ship is turning. I really do believe that the ship is turning. And I think this shows it. And this is the real reason why the Golden Globes got canceled. Yes, I think it has something to do with a little bit of pressure from some A-list celebrities with NBC. But for the most part, NBC doesn't want to put out a stinker of a show. Spend millions of dollars on advertising and putting on a huge production on a show where people are just preaching at you and everybody just turns it off because of it. Nobody wants to be preached at anymore. If I want to get preached at, I'm going to church on Sunday. That's where I go to get preached at, because I'm kind of asking for it in that situation. I don't ask for it when I go to the movies. I don't ask for it when I turn on TV. If I want to see my favorite actor win an award, I don't want to get preached at for 90 minutes before he gets his award. Maybe that one time, I see this movie, I think, man, it's a fantastic movie. I hope it wins all the awards. Do you think I really want to sit in an award show, watching an award show with chock full of wokeness and preachiness and talk downedness just to find out if my favorite movie won or not? Hell no, I don't. And most people don't anymore. I think we kind of giggled about it and laughed about it in the beginning. But then we started getting tired of it. I mean, look at the Academy Awards specifically. Around the 2015 or so is really when it started to go downhill. I'm at it 2015, 2016. What was going on then? So that's my spiel for tonight. I'm a lover of movies. I'm a lover of entertainment, of music, of art in general, but specifically movies. I've always loved movies. I can name you casts and when certain movies were made, what the onus for the script was, who directed it, did they win awards, all of that stuff, because I love movies, and it's a punch in the gut when I go to a movie or watch a movie now, because I don't get to watch too many movies in theaters these days. But when I get preached at, Falcon and Winter Soldier, for most of that show, I enjoyed the hell out of it. Very entertaining, escapist, a lot of great action scenes and special effects and really good direction. Some great performances, and then comes the preachiness. Okay, let's dabble in some of the topics. I'm totally cool with that. The theme of is the world ready for a black Captain America? Okay, play with that theme. Totally cool with it. But don't pound me in the face with it. Don't hit me over the head with a 2x4 with it. That's not what I want. That's not what most people want. Most people want entertainment. They want to be entertained. They want to enjoy the craft. Like I know I do. I go to a Pixar film and I'm enjoying the craft as much as I am the story and the music and all that stuff. Just don't preach at me. And that's, I think, is why we're seeing ratings tank. I think NBC is canceling the awards show, the Golden Globes, partially because of this. I think you're going to see a couple of stinkers this year from Marvel, which is hard to do. Marvel is pretty much the golden child of Hollywood right now, but they're going to put out a couple stinkers. I've heard the Eternals is very uber woke. I guess if that's an appropriate term, I think it is. So they took all these characters, and there's a bunch of characters in this series of comic books, and they've swapped and flipped and turned around and juxtaposed genders, sexual orientation, nationalities, skin colors, everything. They've completely rewrote it so that they could be more woke. I am so excited for this movie. I'm not. I'm really not. I was when I first heard about it, but then when Kevin Feige's coming out and saying that this is basically a platform to show how to be more woke, that's when I started going, yeah, it's probably not going to be that great. And as I understand it, Shang-Chi is going to be just as woke. And that's too bad. That's too bad. But they're going to learn their lesson, and they're going to come back around. I think the situation with Gina Carano, the situation with the Golden Globes, the situation that they're at Marvel, it's going to cause some changes because people are pissed. People are pissed, and they're fed up with it, and they're not going to do it anymore. They're going to quit paying. Disney Plus has lost a lot of subscribers over the Gina Carano thing alone. You think they're having second thoughts about that? I think they are. Because remember, they've got stakeholders, they've got stockholders to pay, and if they can't, if they pour all this money into the subscription service and they screw over their fan base, that's going to hurt their bottom line. They don't want to do that. So I think the wokeness has reached a critical mass, at least when it comes to Hollywood and just larger media outlets in general, like your NBCs and your Marvels and Disneys. I know I'm probably being a little naive, but I like to think that we're about to turn a corner. So here's hoping. So what's going on out there? What are people talking about? Yep. Yes, Nailbender, they are. So they took all the characters and kind of tossed them around, and whatever came out, came out. They have the very first openly LGBTQ ABCDEFG character, superhero character, that's going to be debuting in that movie. Not really sure which one, but apparently it's a thing. School choice is a solution to the current funding model. With a different model, choice might not be an issue anymore. That's a good point. I can see that. So I'm going to have to look up this story. I have not read about this one. Peloton machine eating kids. I want to see video of that. I would really like to see video of that. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, what will Ricky Gervais do? What will he do? He'll just sit on his recliner and just make fun of people on Twitter all day. That's what he does. I'm sorry. He's about as woke as the next guy, but he is still really funny. And they all need to retcon the bleep of a lot of things. Yes, they do. And actors are just better than us, Alex. You know this. You know this just as well as anybody. Right? Sean Penn, man. Rubbing elbows with Hugo Chavez and the dictators in Venezuela and, that murderous regime. He knows better than us. That's the kind of thing he wants here. He wants a banana republic in the United States because Sean Penn knows better than us. I especially don't want to be preached up by friends of Jeffrey Epstein, who didn't kill himself, by the way. Just so you know, Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. At least that's what I've heard. Or people that covered for Harvey Weinstein for decades. Yeah, so like everybody who knew him, in other words, which he knew a lot of people, and he was close with a lot of people, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Meryl Streep, Hillary Clinton. It's amazing. Oh, and there's video of the Peloton eating children. I've got to see this. I've got to see this. You're going to have to, you need to post it in the guild, Alex. I've got to see this. You played, and I'm sorry I missed your show. Guys, if you have not checked out the Politics show, go check them out on YouTube, also on Facebook. Really great show. I aspire to be like Danny and Alex, although I don't have a cool sidekick. Maybe I should work on getting one. Hey, Nail, will you wear cat ears for me? Come on the show and wear cat ears for me? Like that, I guess. That would be pretty awesome if you would do that for me, Nail. I don't pay very well, but I would love to have you on as my sidekick. That'd be awesome. Well, guys, that is going to do it for me. I've been going at this for almost an hour, and I covered the things I wanted to cover, and I wish I had done this earlier. I might have had a bigger audience, but hey, like I said, life happens, and I wanted to have the stream today. I am thinking about going ahead and changing up the schedule a little bit, because I'm finding that it's hard to get guests on my Wednesday show at the 4 p.m. slot. And the reason why is because a lot of the people that I've been asking are on the East Coast. And 4 o'clock here is 5 o'clock there. And they're getting kids ready for bed, or they're feeding them or whatever. And there's all these all these things that they're doing with their children and their families. And I can't get anybody to come on at 4 o'clock. So I may start tinkering with the schedule a little bit. We shall see. The problem is that I don't want to miss some of my favorite shows as well, like the Politics show. We got Dr. Elo, who's in the Creators Guild as well. We got Xanthi. We've got Grimskull. There's so many people putting out such great content. I don't want to miss it, and I don't want to overlap with them. But at some point, I'm going to have to make a tough decision. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to move my show to 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. And that'd be, the kids are in bed on the East Coast, and then on the West Coast. Well, this is the West Coast, who cares? But yeah, so there it is. So I'm thinking about doing that. If you've got any thoughts about that, you can always send me feedback, beyond280, all spelled out, at gmail.com. Be sure to follow me at beyond_280. If you like the show and you feel like I can't help it, I want to support this guy, you can always buy me a coffee, and I will drink said coffee. And it is going toward the fund, the buy Scott a second camera fund, so he can take his wife's camera and put it back in her studio. So, so that's what that fund is all about. But I really appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Oh, by the way, what did y'all think of my dancing Travolta and my dancing Alfonso? I don't have any music going on right now, but I thought this was fun. But maybe you don't think it is. Maybe you think I'm an idiot. All right, guys, have a great evening, and I have thoughts. All right. Let's talk, Nail. We'll talk about it. All right, guys, I am out. Have a great evening, and peace out.